Picture that your entire life turned into absolute shit. You're a jaded nerd who wants to become a manga artist, but ended up working at some shitty pizza shop. Your dreams are crushed, and on top of that, your mother and childhood love interest were murdered. And to make matters even worse, you and one of your friends are framed for the murderers. Now, imagine being able to go back in time 18 years to fix your fucked up future. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ERASED, the intense thriller show that will probably have you shit your pants 5 times an episode. So be prepared to watch this show in the potty. Most people that would watch the show would tell you to watch it because, oh my god, time travel, man. Let me just say that time travel's overdone. And this show doesn't even do time travel very well. Other people be like, gee willikers, brah, this show be a suspenseful thriller mystery. It's not. The killer was so obvious that I was debating whether or not to spoil who the killer even was. The show makes the killer so obvious, it doesn't even seem like a spoiler. But worry not, because I won't reveal who the killer is. I'll keep this review spoiler free. But honestly, the killer's identity is so obvious, you would have to be a 5th grader to not realize who the killer is. So that's why Satoru didn't know who the killer was. Anyways, before you give me more dislikes and hate comments than Digibro got, let me just say that in spite of all that, I actually love this show. This show is both unique and inspirational, and from the very beginning has a huge motif on hope and looking toward the future. This motif should be really inspirational for most anime fans, as the main character is basically your typical nerd or otaku, as he wants to become a manga artist, but ended up failing and working at some shitty pizza shop. Already, you can see this guy had some pretty high hopes as a kid to have a bright future, but ended up becoming jaded somewhere along the way. This setup is done showing the main character's life lacks hope, and you can tell he feels regrets. He wants to be given the chance to change his future. Already, I can say this aspect of his character is something that a lot of young adults face with. It's the fact that you probably had a dream when you were younger, but through certain events you were held back. You were never able to achieve it, and as a result, our main character is filled with regrets. To make matters even worse, this guy's tragic past is probably the reason he doesn't feel the motivation to move forward with his life, given his only love interest was killed, and on top of that, one of his best friends was framed for the murder. Now he's living traumatized by the past and is unhappy with the present. His whole life is regret. And to make things even worse, his mother is killed and he's framed for the murder. This guy's life went to shit to, hey, maybe it's time to drink bleach and die kinda bad. However, all of this was changed because the main character was inexplicably able to go back 18 years into the past. He was taken back a few days before Kaio's murder, his childhood love interest, and now he can change the future. The once jaded adult is now a 29-year-old in a 5th grader's body, and has hoped to change the future and constantly mentions that he wants to become a superhero. Just like a superhero, he's gonna save the people that he wasn't previously able to save. The fact that he can save himself from being a loser in the future. The fact that he can save 3 girls from getting murdered. The fact that he can save his friend from being jailed despite being innocent. And also the fact that he can save his mother from being murdered. Satoru is filled with determination. The determination to make tomorrow the future he wants it to be. You might wonder why I find this to be such an inspirational premise, but it's because the main character's future is exactly what I fear might happen to me. My goals and dreams are exactly the same as Satoru. I want to be a manga artist, and it's also my goal to live my life by the ideals of a shonen action hero. Most people see shonen anime as a form of entertainment, but I personally find it as a form of inspiration. I want to live my life like the heroes I watch. I want to be the type of person that won't give up on their dreams, and I also want to be the kind of person that can help and protect others. I'm a 17-year-old kid filled with hopes, dreams, and determination, but I also live in fear that being a manga artist isn't exactly a realistic goal. I wonder if I'll end up like Satoru, a jaded adult who works at some shitty pizza shop and is filled with regret. Either way, I find this guy to be a self-image of myself. He's someone that most otaku can relate to, as he's a splitting image of what a nerd is. And seeing Satoru go from a pessimistic nerd to a man who wants to become a superhero should make any nerdy person feel uplifted. Seeing Satoru's willpower to change the future really gives me the same vibes as Homura from Madoka Magica. Both these characters inspire me with their determination to make their future bright, because it makes you, the viewer, realize that while you can't go back in time, you can still change your future. Tomorrow is the future that you make it to be, so work hard to make your future bright. Life is not a video game, and unlike these characters, you can't hit the new game button. You have to live with your decisions and push forward with your goals. And the inspirational aspect is not the only good thing about the story. Seeing Satoru bond with Kaio as he's trying to protect Kaio from dying is nothing but heartwarming. These two characters have really sweet chemistry together. For some reason, romance between 2 elementary school kids seems really pure and genuine to me. Their character development together is very gradual, but when it pays off, damn, it hits you hard. You really get the sense that Kaio admires Satoru for being heroic enough to save her. Save her from what, you might ask? Well, for one, the killer, and second off, Kaio is an abuse victim. Her bitch-ass mother literally beats the shit out of her whenever possible. It's honestly pretty fucked up and disturbing. And because of that, Kaio feels alone. It seems she's always wanted to save her from the terrible abuse her mother puts her through, but no hero came to save the day. Well, that until Satoru came back to the past to make sure his future doesn't suck ass. Kaio has honestly lost all hope in life, and it seems pretty stoic as her whole life has been suffering. But what makes all of this so heartwarming is to see Satoru's heroic ideals and kindness start to rub off Kaio. The kindness that you show will reflect on other people. And you slowly see Kaio go from this hopeless, emotionless character to someone who's willing to fight to protect herself. To someone who feels wanted and loves being with other people. And none of that change happens overnight. It happens very gradually throughout the entire series. The climax of her development being episode 8. Seeing Kaio's tears, I cried, man. Her development is not only well done as is realistic, but it's gradual and satisfying. Her development is not only well done as is realistic, gradual, and satisfying, but it's also very heartwarming. Every time I saw these two on screen, it filled me with determination that Satoru was gonna be able to save her and be the hero. The show just gets more and more inspiring the more you watch, as Satoru's heroism is contagious. The kindness that you show to people will reflect on others. And Satoru's heroism inspired his whole gang to be heroes to save the other victims as well. This is most notably done with Kobayashi. Given this, the show is very uplifting. But that's not to say the show doesn't have its negative points. My biggest problem is you constantly see Kaio's mom abuse Kaio. And to prevent this, Satoru could, call the fucking cops? Seriously, I don't get why people in mystery shows never call the fucking cops. Would calling the cops be anticlimactic? Yes, but here's my problem. If you want your mystery to be realistic, not having the characters call the cops is 100% unrealistic. I know the point of the main character is that he's kind of an idiot, which is why he ended up with a crappy life to begin with, but come on! The characters should at least give a reason to why they're not calling the cops. Why doesn't the show at least address the cops? That makes no sense at all. This is probably one of my least favorite tropes in anything. Heavy rain. This leads into the problem that almost every character in the show is really stupid to a certain degree. There's this one scene where Iry's house catches on fire. Common sense. If you see smoke coming out from the bottom of the door and you smell fire, don't reach for the door handle and open it! Another big thing is I don't really understand the twist at the end with the killer. I hear the manga delved into his psyche a lot more, but with the anime, it makes no sense. Basically, the killer said he can't live without Satoru, which is why he needs Satoru. The reason the killer likes Satoru is because he respects him. I don't fucking know, it's confusing. Unlike most people, I don't find the ending to be shitty. I actually really like the ending to this anime, but that was the one aspect that I really did not understand. Another problem I have with the killer's identity is that it's so obvious I suspected him from the moment he appeared on screen. From his creepy design, whose overly self-aware personality, and the fact that he looks like the fucking killer that we saw in episode 1, it's so obvious that this guy's the killer. Episode 10 is when the killer's identity is revealed, but by episode 9, it was so obvious, I was debating on whether or not it was a spoiler. Episode 10 is when the killer's identity is revealed, but by episode 9, it was so obvious who it was that I ended up debating whether or not it was even a spoiler. Literally, the show did everything it could to foreshadow this guy's the killer without blatantly saying, hey, he's the killer. Honestly, you could watch any review of episode 9, and I'm pretty sure every single person that reviewed it knew who the killer was in the episode before he was revealed. And that leads to the fact that the main character was fooled by this guy. It makes no sense. How could he not predict it? I know earlier I said it made sense because he's 10, but he's not 10. He has the mind of a 29-year-old. In spite of all this, I still found the show to be really suspenseful and kept me on the edge of my seat half the time. I was so tempted to pick up the manga because I was desperate to find out what happened next. So despite the few problems I have with the show, as a suspense thriller show, this show is pretty great. There are a bunch of plot twists that will keep the viewer in suspense, but honestly, if you want to pick the show because it's a mystery, I would not recommend it. The mystery aspect of the show is pretty poorly done, as I don't even understand the whole time travel aspect as it's not explained at all. And the killer is so obvious, you have to be denser than your typical shonen main character to not realize who the fucking killer is. I don't recommend the show as a good mystery, but I recommend the show to anyone who wants to watch something that's heartwarming, uplifting, and suspenseful. The show has a really suspenseful story that will always keep the viewer wanting to see the next episode, and you'll probably marathon the whole thing in one day. And the character development of seeing Satoru go from a pessimistic loser in episode 1 to being a hero should really speak to the otaku demographic, saying that you can be a hero as well. This character is basically a self-insert for your average otaku to relate to, and reflect that your average otaku can be a hero. And the message of hope the show's trying to get across is what the show's trying to tell anyone that can relate to Satoru. Overall, I give the show a 7 out of 10. Makes number 24 on my top 25 list. If you were told the show has a great mystery, you've been misled. But if you want a unique show that breaks out the norm, you found the right show. So be sure to hit that subscribe button for more sexy reviews, and leave a comment down below to what you guys think about this anime. And as always, this has been your boy Mighty Pie. Good night, goodbye, and big balls. Gee Willikers, brah, this show is a suspenseful. Gee Willikers, this show is a suspense. Seeing Satoru die. Oh god, I didn't mean to say die.